Welcome back, and today we are playing out the MB-326K. Now honestly, this plane is a bit of a mixed bag. It's not terrible, it's not good in terms of the flight performance, but due to the fact that you get an air spawn together with Aidens at 7.0, it actually makes it a bit of a frag bus. Now you are pretty easily countered by a lot of these 7.3s and even some of these 7.0s because you aren't that quick, and the high speed performance leaves a little to be desired. It does pull at high speed, but it also just compresses instantly out of nowhere, and it's a very awkward flight model. At super low speed it's actually pretty solid, and the flaps do rip pretty quickly, but they also produce a ton of lift, and at super low speed it can hang all day long, and this does catch people off guard, and it's gonna be one of your main ways of killing people, because the other way is just you gonna be zooming around the battlefield and killing people left, right and center. For now we are running the gun pods. They do hamper your performance a little bit, especially in the turning department. They don't weigh that much, they're only 81 kilograms a piece, but you do bring another 260 rounds. So if you don't actually separate the controls for the firing, you don't actually get more trigger time, but you do get a blanket of that instead of just a little line in the middle. It spreads out the rounds a little bit, and because these guns aren't all that accurate, it's nice to have sometimes, because the flight performance isn't the main takeaway regardless. I also took it out, of course, without the gun pods for a few rounds, just to show you what it's like. But after this I'm also going to run it with gun pods again, just to show you the freaky full down tier 10 kill game that I got without landing. Basically it's in massive quotations, but we'll get there when we get there. We're going on with a C2 or C1. He dodges the head on, I just pull straight in, and out of nowhere Meteor Mark IV Longwing rocks up. Now this is a plane that you do not want on your 6. He will absolutely gore you. Luckily he breaks off vertically and allows me to pitch directly underneath him. This gives me a good position to pitch straight into this counter attack. I drop the landing flaps. Not quite there yet because they rip at a pretty low speed, but I managed to get the shot off. We crit him, or severe him actually, and then the MB-262 rocks up that I crit earlier in the head-on. Now he has a smoking engine, he probably has some wing damage, so I should be able to handle this guy pretty handily. So we just go up over his nose, I pitch in front of him to make him pitch into me. He's not gonna get that shot, not with the damage that he has sustained. The C1A isn't that great of a dogfighter regardless. He needs to play energy and he needs to gain separation. At this point it's too late, I'm way too close, he has way too much damage. I have my guns trained on him, but I'm witnessing him turn into a frisbee. That's what asymmetrical damage does to you in the 262. So we just wait for him to give me a full broadside, we click him out of the air, and then we dive after the Yak-17 that's dodging very predictably, so we just kind of wait for him to pull in and we click him out of the sky. Back to being a frag bus strapped to the gills with 30mm at 6.0, because we got a full down tier. We're about to basically frag the entire lobby. Call it the Bearcat Annihilator, because half my kills are going to be exactly that. By rushing straight in. We want to climb at about 600, we go over the entire enemy team. You spearhead your entire team and you reach the enemy completely on your own. This was one of the first matches I did when I was playing this thing on release, so people didn't really know what it was yet, and people weren't ready for the absolute destruction that 4 30mm bring when you're flying a prop. I'm ignoring the P-51H above me. The FAF finally notices me, but he's going way too slow. Gives me a nice little shot, and we continue on our way. The P-51 is still behind us, but we're going 800, and I'm not really too worried that he is going to catch us anytime soon. Second P-51H kind of just leaves himself out to dry right in front of us. Click him twice, we shoot him out of the air as well. And you saw the rudder in action right there. Aiming this thing is a little bit awkward, and this is annoying because this means that you can't just go full speed passes through a massive furball. Going on with another FAF that sees us last second. I'm getting a bit aggressive here because I'm sensing that I can just frag a lot of people here. Should I have gone in that hard? No, but I'm smelling blood in the water, and I just want to see how quickly I can get more than 5 kills, and that's exactly what's gonna end up happening. Another P-51H directly in front of us. He is strapped with bombs and he is definitely not really paying attention. We get some hits, set him on fire, click one more time, and that is going to be an ace in like a minute or so. Multi-strike times 5, and we're just gonna continue on straight and look for our next victim. A21 are right in front of us, but the backhead on the left pulls in for us and wants a head-on, so he can get a head-on. We're gonna aim it, we're gonna draw a little line down, up, and unfortunately we managed to miss it. But it doesn't matter because it's a backhead and we merge at about 600. He's going nowhere near that type of speed and he is not going to be able to sustain this kind of maneuver whatsoever. If you know, the backhead just doesn't maintain energy at all. It's kind of like the flapjack but better. So we just keep it horizontal, try to slot in behind him, wait for him to dump his speed, and the second I see that window, I'm gonna pull straight in. And that's, I think, gonna be back at number 4. Saw his wing clean off, and then we go for the P-51H. And here, I make a major error. I'm gonna decide to pitch into the P-51H and play his game, because I'm again hungry and I'm smelling blood. We are gonna pitch straight in here, and it will show you just how decent this is in a dogfight. It's also the dumbest thing you can ever do. I'm pitching in here, I'm cutting his flight path off, and I'm trying to get my guns on him with the flaps down, but I'm not able to. And I'm now going 140 kilometers an hour. He's going about 400, and this thing doesn't really have that much acceleration. So now I have a P-51H right up my bumhole, and I'm not going all that quick. So I'm just going to be rolling it around. I'm going to try to dodge those 50 cals as much as I can. We're not gonna exactly cancel roll, but we are gonna definitely stay on the move a little bit. He's only 0.4 away. I'm never gonna be outrunning this guy like this. We are way too low for it. So we are actually going to drop the air brake, drop the flaps, literally drop the flaps, pull in for the shot and get a hit. A little bit unlucky. I now don't have flaps left. This guy has been damaged and I'm in a terrible position without any altitude to this time actually disengage. And I'm just trying to lead into the shot. Not able to, yet again. I don't have the performance for this. I need to again break off, pick up a little bit of speed and hope that I can actually disengage him this time around. He is 0.67 kilometers away, a little bit further away this time around, but he hits us again, and this time the damage is a little bit more severe. I need to take the fight right now. It's the biggest chance I'm gonna be getting. He's compressing a little bit, doesn't have the ability to lead into the shot. We pull up over his nose, we lead into the shot, and this time around we're getting a little bit closer. Unfortunately, we again don't have any flaps. Now this time around we merged kind of neutral. He's going super slow and I'm gonna turn into him one more time to give myself a bit of a window. He's raiding me. I notice that he isn't going for the shot, so I'm now going to straighten out and try to get as far away from this guy as I possibly can. And this time around we are at 900 meters. It's not quite there yet. We are well within 50 cal range, but we're fast enough to get away from him. And if he doesn't hose all of his rounds at us and get a lucky fire, then we should be able to disengage properly here. And that's exactly what we do. On the way back to the airfield, I notice I still have a third of my ammo left. I'm slightly damaged, but it's not about the flight performance anyway. So we are going to be engaging the people in the middle of the map because they're now low. I'd rather kill them now opposed to when they are in orbit, when I land and repair. Go ahead on with the Spitfire. He dodges. Easy shot. Bearcat goes head on. We spray a little bit because now I actually have the ammo to do so. I only need to kill 2 more people. Bearcat goes down. And then we fly towards the P-51H. We're gonna get a little bit of a gradual climb going on because I want to get above the P-51H. I am damaged and the P-51H is actually a pretty dangerous opponent. So I want to be in a good position to go for him properly. So you can tell that I'm now at a little bit of an high altitude. We're still going about 600. I like to maintain that kind of speed. It's good versus props. You don't need much more unless they start diving on you. But right now I am diving on him. He pulls in for the head-on. We predict where he's going to be. We literally click him out of the air. And we go for a landing. And then we notice the P-51H in the clouds. And we notice him. But he didn't really notice us. So I was kind of expecting a rematch. Instead, he just kind of flies straight into my guns. I should have collected that kill in the dogfight regardless, but I'm not gonna exactly complain because I survived quite a few shells myself as well. Back on to clean wings, and I will show you just how much better the flight performance actually is and that you don't really need it. Now the DEFAs are kind of inconsistent, but it's not like they are completely terrible when you're shooting props and early jets, because these planes are on average a lot slower than something like an F-15. Now if you run into like a Fokker D-23 on the spawn, it's a little bit scary, but if you have a little bit of patience, you should be able to kill him with a little bit of extra time. So we go head on here with Jeffrey Epstein in his F-84. Now he's not really paying attention, he's going super slow, and we just get the freest shot of the world. Send him to the Shadow Realm, and yes, my sound cut out because my drivers died mid-game. Ignore it, it's gonna be back after this one. F2H coming in, I'm not really keen on dogfighting those, they're really scary planes. Luckily they all like to take head-ons, and he just collects 230 mils directly on the forehead. He is severed, he is gonna be going down, and while you can dogfight F2Hs, LA-15s, F-80s, you can dogfight most things, they need to make mistakes. If they play it flawlessly, this thing is outclassed, but it has enough hands to capitalize on mistakes. Just be careful with your energy. And be careful with locking up. Sometimes it comes out of nowhere, and if it happens when you're about to dive on someone or you're about to take a shot and you just straight up overshoot, it's kind of done deal for you. This plane defensively isn't the best. It rolls pretty decent and it pulls quite okay. It's not like it can maneuver out of the way, but it's very hard to actually get people out of your control zone. Now, if you're in something like a scissor and you're in a good position, this thing is actually good enough at low speed to the point where you can slow down enough. Then yeah, you can definitely win in reverse, but if you overshoot while you're compressing and you get someone at like 300 meters on your 6 and he's already shooting at you, the plane isn't really, it doesn't pull hard enough to get out of his guns and start a kind of neutral position. It's of course a bad place to be in with basically any plane, but this thing is kind of, you can see the compression right there. It pulls like 6 Gs, and a lot of planes here have 50 cals, A&M 3s. They're going to have a very easy time straight up tearing your plane apart. Now, if you get a MiG-9 or an Su-9 on your 6, it's a little bit of a different story. Same thing with something like the MB-326K. And you will run into a lot of those. Yeah, it's a pretty decent fight. But you need to be careful with this plane because it's a very mixed bag in terms of characteristics. And that's what makes it unique. It's definitely a plane that doesn't feel like anything else. It feels awkward. It feels good in some speed ranges. And it kind of just dictates for you what it's going to feel like depending on the speed that you put it in. So you need to be kind of careful with it. You need to be very mindful of what speed you're going, because at 700 kilometers an hour it feels like a completely different beast opposed to going 400, for example. This plane is carried by the airspan and the guns, however, and this is something that you see very often. So I am actually expecting this thing to go up in BR. And that would be a bit of a shame. At the same time, I understand it, because these planes are incredibly annoying to deal with in the early stages of the matches. But keep in mind that 7.0 is a much better battle rating to play at. 7.3 gets up tiered almost every match. And when you play 7.0, you see 6.7s almost every game. 6.3s and 6.0s are incredibly common. And basically every match is 6.3 to 7.3, meaning that basically every plane you run into is pretty beatable. There's only gonna be 4 7.3s, and these are the planes you really need to be aware of. The F2Hs and the Su-11s in particular, and as well as the Mark IV Meteors that absolutely turn your asshole inside out. Now luckily the Mark III Meteors aren't all that quick, so when those pop up directly on your 6, you can just go into a dive, because the top speed of this thing is actually a pretty respectable 910, 920 kilometers an hour before you start to rip. Unfortunately for him, the Meteor doesn't have that same luxury, and he just blows his wings smooth off. And that's perfect, because now we can go vertical for the other Sea Meteor and help out our teammate. Lastly, it's 3 Spitfires, and well, bullying props in this thing is pretty funny. You need to be careful though, because again, overshooting is gonna be pretty common. This Spitfire is setting up for the reversal, which is, I think, the best thing to do. I kind of fall for the bait, but I'm just gonna go for the shot. I know I'm going to get it. We only get a hit though, and we're gonna pull out of the way right there and just get out of here. You can tell that the overload is now 8 Gs, but we're going so quick that Spitfire has no chance of getting guns on us, and we're just gonna go and disengage into a bit of a shallow climb, as you do versus props when you're playing an early jet. We just kind of go up. I notice the second Spitfire that's a little bit lower, so we just turn all of our speed into altitude, because the engine isn't all that fantastic. The acceleration is comparable to something like a MB-326K-A1U1 when it comes to spawning in with the airspan. You out-accelerate it a little bit, but it's not a massive difference. Go for this Spitfire first. He's a little bit further away, and I didn't want this guy to be on my 6. Line up the shot, turn his plane into spare parts, and we go straight into the vertical again as the other Spitfire manages to kill one of them. We go straight vertical. He's dogfighting the other MB. And I'm just putting myself into a position where he needs to choose either defense versus me, which is basically impossible considering where I'm at right now. I'm directly on top of him. So he chooses to go for the dogfight and try to kill him. And I kill him anyway. It doesn't really matter what he does at that point. I'm going like 600 directly above him as he's locked in a fight. No chance for him. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.